Hello YouTube, and I welcome all of you back. Now, despite the fact that it says Reality Zone at the bottom, there's a few reasons for this. Now, one, it's just because I haven't even bothered to change the decor, as it were. Maybe in the next couple of weeks there might be a change to this. It's only because, well, unfortunately, since a great deal of my other videos were destroyed along with Reality Zone as we know it, it means only one thing. It means we have to start back from the very beginning. And I feel like there'll be no better way of starting this off by doing a quiz and introduction series. Now, the whole point, realistically, ladies and gentlemen, to do this is that, as is so often in life, there are always changes. There are always things we've never seen before, things that have never been discussed before. And as a result, we are going to find out today, ladies and gentlemen, by basically doing the introduction to the Chris Ann series, which is going to be restarting probably the moment this video is done. So let's just do this with Chris Ann. The purpose of this article is to provide a Metro 20-minute style summary of the life and thoughts of Christian Weston Chandler. If you know anything about my old videos, you know that I do not make my videos 20 minutes long. Christian Weston Chandler, also simply known as Chris. Chris is a 38-year-old autistic man-child who is the creator of Sonichu, a mashup of Sonic and Pikachu. Since October 2007, the internet has developed a devoted interest in Chris and Sonichu. The ensuing drama have resulted in greater knowledge of Chris to such an extent that, according to animator Harry Partridge, more have been written about the life of Christian Weston Chandler than the life of George Washington. You could probably include John Smith, Benjamin Franklin, and Theodore Roosevelt, for we know, with how long this continues. And by the way, these are just summaries that we're going to cover over very, very briefly in this part here. But let's just make this quick, because again, this isn't going to be particularly too long anyway. About the Chris Ann series. This series aims to inform people new to the Chris Chan bubble about what makes Chris who he is today. Chris and articles do not cover specific events or time periods. They cover broad aspects of Chris's entire life, and articles are moderate in length, and they are broken up into 6 categories. Psyche, articles related to Chris's mental state. Personality, articles related to Chris's character traits. Expression, articles related to the ways Chris expresses himself through language and the arts. Society, articles related to Chris's opinions on the world and the people living in it. Business, articles related to Chris's knowledge of businesses, finances, and labor. STEM plus health, articles related to Chris's relationship with the natural sciences, including technology and health. Life, drama, main article Chris and drama. Fashion, Chris is well known for frequently wearing the Sonichu medallion in public. Chris originally wore colourful coloured shirts and undersized rugby shirts, most of which were decorated with horizontal stripes. Since the state of the Tom Girl saga, I'm gonna sneeze. Chris's fashion sense choices become increasingly peculiar, resulting in strange and hideous attires, especially when he chooses to wear My Little Pony clothing. Despite spending thousands on video games and toys, Chris is very stingy when it comes to shopping for his clothes, which are usually purchased second-hand at thrift stores such as the Salvation Army and Goodwill. Health, Chris, as even those who with a cursory knowledge of medicine can plainly see, is not in good health. Considering his obesity, lack of exercise, poor nutrition, refusal to bathe, and the grave uncleanliness of his surroundings, he has an extremely high chance of developing potentially life-threatening medical problems such as cancer, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, and possibly a premature death. Internet, Chris does not fully understand how to surf safely and to be a good Nathan? Is that what it's called? Although he is aware that anything posted on the internet is available for everyone to see. He has no issue in giving away sensitive or potentially embarrassing information about him. such as his phone number and home address, and his tendency to soil himself. Chris is also not aware how to properly communicate in private, and he rarely follows the established rules of websites. When he was given his own website, he audaciously claimed he had control with the site, and not the sysop and the advertisers. Chris has also been banned from the websites such as Flipnote Hatina in 2010 and Etsy in 2016. Journalism. Throughout most of his life, Chris has been a subject of journalism and paparazzi, whenever he's aware of it or not. His life is literally documented on the internet on sites like Yours Truly, The Kiwi Farms, and Encyclopedia Dramatica. The reason for this is due to his own stupidity to openly admit and display his most embarrassing moments at the most inopportune times. Sometimes people will Some people might learn more about Chris's life by interviewing him, or he will flat out do something so embarrassing people can't help but share it with someone else. Sex. Chris has a warped view of sexual intercourse, aka hanky-panky, as well as gender, mostly stemming from stunted sexual development, a sheltered upbringing, and his twisted, disjointed worldview he acquired as a result. He first developed an understanding of sex from watching softcore porn on HBO at around the age of 16. He describes pornographic films as educational. And you see there's other articles here like television, video games, and work. And no, this is not an oversight. This is literally as long as Chris's work history as it possibly goes. In fact, since I last made a video about the Chris and Anne series, I think I've worked more weeks than Chris has done for his entire life. I wish I was joking about that, but I'm not. Psyche, personality, anger. Chris has anger management issues that usually surface when he is under stress. Trolls refer to Chris's fits of rage as tard rage, an expression normally used to describe the seemingly superhuman strength a normally mild-tempered slow-in-the-mind displays when he or she is pushed too far and goes on an anger-fueled rampage. Although in Chris's case, superhuman and strength can easily be replaced with impotent and bawling. Ego. Chris has a massive sense of entitlement, mostly because of his parents taught him to blame other people for all of his troubles. Chris sees himself as superior above everyone else, and considers anyone who challenges egocentrism as a potential enemy. The Sonichu comics also reflects Chris's egocentrism, with the self-insert effectively being a Marty Stew. Attempts have been made to entice Chris to bring his ego under control, with very little success. Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is the act of claiming to have beliefs, opinions, virtues, feelings, qualities, or standards that one does not actually have. Chris is an accomplished hypocrite, holding others to standards to which he himself does not live up to. This is possibly due to the fact that he's incapable of serious introspection and self-examination due to his autism. Sometimes, but not always. But on a more self-inflicted level, his ego. Chris believes that he is a blameless, holy creature that is practically perfect in every way. I would say a holy diver would be a better perspective about that, but hey, you know what? That's just me. If you're a fan of Dio, and you probably know where I'm coming from. However, he sees plenty of flaws in the world around him that cause him stress. He blames all of his potential problems on external forces like trolls, homos, conspiracies, or the entire male population. In the past, he's faulted the police, store managers, and mall security guards for complications during his love quest. When Chris can't fault other people for his problems, he relies on autism and stress as fallback excuses. Kindness. A lot of people know a bit about Chris's failures, label him as an irredeemable monster due to his more malicious fails. Others view him as a naive but good-natured idiot that doesn't deserve to be trolled. In reality, Chris's morality and standards are much more complicated. Despite all of his moments of rage, death threats, lies, and yuck, Chris does have a soft side, and he is not afraid to show it off, due to Chris's willingness to show how benevolent he is, and possibly due to what he's watched on My Little Pony. Chris will be motivated to act kind towards most people, even towards complete strangers. Unfortunately, it's only in cases where he has something to gain from it. He has to be in a position where he is going to benefit from kindness, not so much from. It's complicated. I'll explain this when we do kindness. Knowledge. Chris's presence on the honor roll in high school is something he often brings up as evidence of his intelligence and his deep knowledge. Despite his insistency to the contrary, Chris's past behavior and obvious gullibility, poor communication, and self-delusion cast doubt upon this claim. Chris likes to boast of his honor roll status whenever possible, as it is one of the easily measurable accomplishments in his life. Nostalgia. Now we'll get to nostalgia when the time comes. Psychology. Chris has a troubled relationship with psychology. He claims that he was held down by the school psychologist in grade school when his screens were recorded, almost certainly a lie, and was forced to see a psychologist for anger management classes after being kicked out of Piedmont, Virginia Community College. Chris has refused to see a psychologist in the past, opting to see a pastoral counselor instead. However, during his trial in July 2012, he was ordered to undergo psychiatric treatment and evaluation. Only time will tell if this will finally force Chris to accept the help he needs, or ultimately accomplish nothing more than drawing what little remains of Chandler's already depleted funds. Reality. Chris has already had a poor grip on reality when the internet first discovered him. Many people on the autism spectrum do struggle to distinguish between reality and fantasy, but Chris has done nothing to minimize its impact, instead embracing his realm of fantasy as a way to escape from anything he does not like. Notably, Chris believes that Quickville and his characters are real. He had the power to curse anyone, and that anything bad that has happened to him was a conspiracy. Since 2017, Chris's grip on reality weakened further with his belief that the dimensional merge would happen and that the alleged merge would make him rich and bringing his fictional characters to life. Remorse. Every so often, one of Chris's less flattering deeds catches up with him, and he is forced to apologize. These apologies, like most of the other times Chris tries to come across as anything emotional, often feel forced and very insincere, leading many trolls to wonder if Chris is even capable of feeling remorse. Stress, but again, we'll get to that in a second. Society. Death. Death is a concept that Chris has a notably hard time understanding and or coping with, be it the death of a human or an animal, or even a fictional character. Again, that last part, a fictional character, is not an oversight. Gender. Similar to the topic of faith and the topic of morality, Chris's actual beliefs on gender and how it is classified are more complex than his stated beliefs. For someone so preoccupied with gender identity, Chris displays a staggering ignorance of how either gender typically behaves, and his views on both genders are extremely warped due to him taking the stereotypes he is presented with in television and music at face value. Law. Chris has demonstrated little respect for the law in the past, in a similar way to a sovereign citizen and freeman movements, and considered himself to be above the law. As reflected in the Sonichu comics, Chris has 6 misdemeanors, 3 from hitting Michael Snyder with his car in 2011, 1 from macing a GameStop employee in 2014, I've covered that one before, the Sonic Boomgate, and 2 from failing to acquire tags and licenses for his dogs in 2016. Another misdemeanor involving an attempt to enter Charlottesville Fashion Square after being banned in 2012, expired after completing the therapeutic doctorate program in April 2019. Also kicking a police car 5 times in August of that was a year ago when that happened. Wow. Politics. I've also covered politics before. Some of these things I have covered in the past, but again, I want to redo them anyway because I want to try and improve on where I went wrong before. In recent years, Chris has been quite vocal about his political views. He was once a moderate and then shifted left. During the Tom Girl saga, he shifted further left. His progressing support of the LGBT community may have been what is made him more vocal about politics. Race. Race is a thing that Chris has shown a variety of feelings for. Unfortunately, they are not always in a positive light. It is believed by some that Chris's racist tendencies can be traced at least partially to his southern US heritage. However, certain other factors seem to imply that the result of his worldview on race comes from stereotypes depicted by popular culture. In some cases, however, Chris seems to be completely unfamiliar with even the stereotypes. Religion. The religion of Christian Weston Chandler is a complicated topic because his stated religious convictions often starkly differ from his actual peculiar beliefs about God, sinfulness, and the nature of good and evil. That Chris professes a belief in Christianity completes the general stereotype of the naive hillbilly idiot who thinks that citing divine authority is the way to win arguments about things he doesn't understand. With religion, as well as all other things, Chris only hears what he wants to hear. For example, he long espoused his religion's teachings condemning homosexuality, yet ignores the fact that he also forbids premarital sex, pornography, and gluttony. Sexuality, solicitation, and the world. Well, we'll do the world next. Chris has lived all his life in Virginia, only leaving the state to visit other parts of the United States only on a few brief occasions. To date, Chris has never traveled abroad, and his financial management making traveling abroad as challenging as conquering the Manchu Chish. Business. Brand loyalty. Chris has many misinterpretive advertising as evidence of a product's popularity, rather than a way to attract new customers. When combined with his fear of change, Chris has developed strong loyalty towards certain products, such as the PlayStation 3, and deep hatred for its rivals such as the Xbox 360. Elements of his style of brand loyalty extend to areas that would not normally be considered brands, such as mental disabilities and sexual orientations. I will refer you, all of you ladies and gentlemen out there, to the response I gave some moments ago. You're not misreading that. Censorship. Chris is very insecure about others' opinions regarding him and his work, due to his massive ego. This has resulted in Chris ruthlessly censoring out anything he does not like. He is basically male Pokimane at this point, such as people telling him to get a job. However, his views on censorship remain very inconsistent. Bit like Pokimane, to be honest. Chris does not like swearing, even though he uses it against his enemies. Copyright. Chris's misunderstanding of copyright law is best represented by his belief that Sonichu and Rosechu are parodies, despite being a derivative of Sonic and Amy Rose, both copyrighted by Sega, and Pikachu and Raichu copyrighted by the Pokemon Company. Despite being very protective of his characters, going as far as to encourage readers to report copyright infringement to the police, he continues to plagiarize many works and freely use fan art without giving credit to the original artist. Money and business. Chris's parents never taught him financial responsibility, resulting in Chris having no idea on how to manage his own finances. Chris notably refuses outright to get a job, because his parents believe that Chris would be better off as a benefits scrounger. That's mostly a UK term. I don't particularly think I've seen many people in the US use the term benefits or scrounger in the same sentence. While an online business based on selling arts and crafts is not a bad alternative to a job, Chris struggled to fulfill orders from Etsy to the point of being banned, and pledges from Patreon. Barbara and Chris's ego-driven, excessive, impulsive spending, combined with their unwillingness to save even the smallest amount of money for anything, has resulted in very serious financial trouble since February 2016. The Chandlers owe at least $160,000 to creditors as of January 2019. But Chris has paid scant attention to the mountain of debt, believing that the so-called dimensional merge would make him extremely wealthy. Sure. Negotiation. When dealing with Chris, trolls often experience a unique form of negotiation due to a severe sense of entitlement, a lifetime of coddling, and other factors beyond his control. Chris has no grasp of how to compromise and often fails to understand what sort of bargaining position he's in. Skills. Art. Chris's artwork plays a major role in the internet's devoted interest in his life, but his choice of art materials do not progress well, despite extensive education in the visual arts. He uses printer paper, Pentel RSVP ballpoint pens, and a 50-pack of Crayola super tip markers to produce most of his artwork, including the Sonichu comics. Chris is so devoted to the aforementioned art materials that he hesitates to try potentially better methods to create his artwork, such as ink paste drawing pens, drawing and sketching paper, watercolors, and modern technology such as a Wacom tablet, Adobe Illustrator, and Adobe Photoshop. Until Sonichu number 12, Chris's font of choice was Comic Sans, a font widely criticized for being overused, childish, and ugly. In Sonichu 12-9, Chris's main font changed to Proxima Nova, but his handwriting dominated the awakening of a CPU, originally known as Sonichu 16. Cinematography. Chris's cinematography and photography skills have improved from the days when he regularly abused his camera. Problems with color, focus, framing, lighting, orientation, and post-production continue to appear, but the impact of the problems on some recent videos and photos are now more in the line with most people. Contests. Ever since the early 1990s, Chris has entered a number of contests. Chris places great weight on his successes and failures with regards to promotional contests. He becomes elated and sees victory as an indication of his own greatness when he wins, and yet becomes enraged and lashes out at the winners when he loses, just like a child. Cosplaying. Cosplay, short for costume play, is a type of performance art in which a person dresses up as a character or idea. The practice is commonly seen in the anime fandom, but can also be seen in other fan realms, such as video games and Star Trek. Chris was first seen in cosplay attire with the famous Ash Ketchum costume. Any attempts at cosplay are usually rare. However, a major wave of cosplaying by Chris, presumably to impress a Smooze Jackie, appeared in late 2010. English. Chris's English skills, like most other things he believes he's mastered, leave much to be desired. Much of this can be attributed to the autism, which often results in awkward speech patterns. He spent years of his childhood mute and took speech therapy classes at James Madison University. Strangely enough, his grasp of English actually appears to have grown weaker as he's become older, presumably due to his increased isolation, which has affected his English in general. Mathematics. Mathematics for short, in the study of quantity, numbers, space, and change, calling Chris's mathematical ability bad is putting it lightly. Even though he claimed honor roll status, there are many examples of his mathematical errors, including errors of basic arithmetic, as well as quantity, measurement, weight, and time. His poor grasp on math and measurement is a sign of dysclolia, a common symptom of autism. Music. Chris's taste in music is not unconventional. Many people have been interested in multiple genres and decades, from the 1970s hard rock to 2010's dubstep, and it is also common to develop interest in songs from their parents' music collections, as well as video games, film, television, and radio. However, what sets Chris apart from other music fans is his belief that a Guitar Hero controller is a real instrument, as well as his overstatement of his singing ability and music recording methods. Oration. Whenever Chris wants to make an argument regarding his opinions or his childlike mindset, one way he'll attempt to move people is through orating his reason onto them. Since Chris lacks some of the basic skills needed to make as an effective speech, rarely ever plans out anything he makes, has serious communication problems, and never does research, his speeches always turn out lackluster at best and horrifying naive at worst. And finally, Spanish and writing, which we will all get to, because take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Some of these things have, all the ones you're seeing right now that are highlighted in purple, these are the ones that I have covered in the past that have yet to be updated. Everything you see that is highlighted in blue, it has changed since the last time I did those videos several months in the past. So I might possibly, as well as go into these, I possibly, you know what, I possibly want to do these in order from here on in, starting with nostalgia, reality, hypocrisy, and basically go down to health, because I think it's a little bit more organized if I did it like that. And maybe if I give it a bit more time, there'll be enough for like everything to be updated, but we'll see what happens when the time comes. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That was your introduction to the Chris and series. We are starting things up again on that. So I hope to see all of you guys again when we get to really chronicling everything from the beginning. And if you have been here before and you pretty much know kind of a lot about what's going to be coming up, well, shit, here we go again.